So, quick recap. We played for the Queen. We made Queen Esmeralda the wonderful, beautiful queen with lots of secrets. Some she doesn't even know. This queen had a spymaster and an advisor, and we learned many things about the spymaster and the advisor, including that the advisor I don't know why I keep saying that, advisor was in love with the queen's mother. And that the two had in fact had a child together named Branyan. Branyan is a knight. He's the captain of the guard. And is, by all accounts, very good and dashing. And so now, building off that, we are playing a game of Star-Crossed, featuring the Spymaster, who we have named Martine, and Branyan, the knight captain. So let's hope my cats don't distract me too much, and let's see what happens. So we are using the Star-Crossed online tracking sheet that I made, shameless self-promotion. And you can find that here if you are, oh no, shoot, I did the wrong thing. You can find that in here in just a second when I get this link. Now is it gonna work? Yeah. Can find that here or on my website, starvingsoup.com. And it is a way to play it online with a D20 based off of Dana Fried's Dread over Hangouts rules. This sheet was developed originally by Jen Martin and Garrett Reininghaus. And I just made some, I didn't change it too much, made some quality of life improvements, updated things for the published rule set versus the Kickstarter rule set. And yeah, made it pretty. Added tick boxes. So first, we got to answer these questions about who are they and what are their pronouns. So we have Sir Branyan Mercier and Martine. Martine doesn't have a last name. Her name's just Martine. And now, what are their most attractive features? Grant, what is the most attractive feature of Branyan?
Branyan's most attractive feature, or features, are his polite manners and honesty.
Good boy.
He also has very, very smart hair.
Good smart hair. All right. Martine's most attractive features are, I was going to say things like her sense of humor, but then it means I have to be like, there's pressure to be funny. So I'm not going to do that. I think she has like really pretty dark eyes. And yeah. So now we picked two things that we do not realize is attractive, or not realize are attractive about them. I love that you picked three things, and I was like, she has pretty eyes, pretty dark eyes, and she's very smart. I'll say that she's smart too. Quick wit, keen mind. What about Branyan does he not realize is attractive?
You assign that to me, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking out loud.
Okay.
I think. I think that Branyan Branyan sees the best in everyone.
Martine knows the name of all the royal staff, like all the retainers, and has only ever spoken kindly to all of them. Now, Branyan doesn't know if there were any words that were had with Andre, because Branyan was not around when Andre was around. Branyan showed up later. But that's...
I mean, there was a little bit of overlap, wasn't there? Because they were both in the retinue.
Yeah, but they weren't together, right? So they were kind of separated. And anything that was said between Andre and Martine in those exchanges, Andre would have made sure Branyan wasn't around for, because there were some secrets. All
right.
So let's treats every member of the, I should say, treats every royal retainer equally and kindly. Okay.
Excellent. What else do we got? Okay. What else? What else does Branyan not realize is attractive about himself? I'm gonna pick the same thing I always pick when there's like buff boys, but like he's like really nice shoulders.
I think he might know that about himself, though.
That he has really nice shoulders?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
When guys got nice shoulders, we tend to know. It's like, oh, yeah.
Probably those are my two like big number one attractive physical things: nice shoulders and arms that give good hugs, or look like they would give good hugs.
Yeah, if you want to put nice shoulders, you can throw that in there.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I feel like Branyan is like above all of that. So
he is.
He'd be like, my shoulders. He'd be like, my shoulders are very strong and very good for doing night things, but he would not realize that that's attractive.
Yeah,
like aesthetically.
You're 100% right.
Nice shoulders. Nice. All right.
So with Martine, the second thing she does not realize is attractive is she is always perfectly dressed for every occasion, even as a spymaster. Colors are coordinated.
Oh, she definitely knows that about herself.
I don't think she realizes to what extent. Like, yes, she's a
Okay.
fashionista, but I don't think she realizes to the extent. Or maybe she does. Um, let's see. Then let's go a little deeper. It's not that, then. It's that she helps others in the court. She compliments. No, that treats everyone equally and kindly.
Could be like the way she carries herself,
Yeah. Um,
or
I have a lot of cliche ones about the way
okay.
she would move physically that I'm trying to avoid. Um,
I
I
mean, I just sank to the lowest common denominator, so you can 100%.
I'm above that. It's no excuse.
You're above that. Okay, fine.
Okay,
I'll be
here's what.
I'll be the trash tonight.
Um, let's see. So Martine, I need a picture of Martine in my mind's eye. Um,
I think she has hair, dark hair, dark eyes.
I think it's she has dark hair. She has dark eyes. She treats everyone equally and kindly, and she is more intelligent and more athletic than any knight at court.
Okay.
She doesn't know this because she's not allowed to compete or speak against the other knights. She's a spymaster. She has a different position. Branyan, being captain of the guard, would rather have Martine as a knight than many of the knights that they have because she is both more intelligent, treats everyone kindly. She's essentially the perfect model of chivalry without it being chivalry. It's almost her own innate code, and she's the master of it. And Branyan
Okay.
has noticed this.
I like that. This is so Branyan. Oh yeah, I'd love to have her as a coworker. Pure sweet boy.
Okay, so let me add this. More intelligent and more athletic than any knight. And she doesn't necessarily know that also because, one, no one's told her. Two, um, yeah, she's never matched up against the knights, more or less.
If she has to fight a knight, it means they've done something very wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. Why can't they act on their feelings?
If you want to go
Why
first, you can go. I don't
do
know
you
if you're
have
ready for Branyan's.
do you have a whole monologue prepared for me?
No, it's very
Um,
short and to the point.
oh good. That'll destroy me, I'm sure. Um, why can't Martine? Because she knows too many of his secrets. Of his secrets that he doesn't know. Why didn't it wrap? I thought I changed this. Um,
Andre forbid it.
what?
Specifically by name. Forbid it her specifically.
Excuse me?
Yeah. And the reason that's important to him, he reiterated it to Branyan while he was dying. I know.
I hate Andre so much. Oh. Bye, Jim. Jim was like, oh no. What? Oh my god.
Thought of that one while I was buying some groceries today because I was like, oh, why wouldn't it be? I was like, Andre straight up forbid it, mentioning her by name.
Wait, like, what was this? I need to know. I need to know. What was the conversation? How did this come up? Tell me everything.
All right. So, Martine's the spymaster, knows everything. She would know most everything about uh, Branyan and Andre, their personal relationship, and she has recently found out about his heritage being directly related to the Queen Mother as an illegitimate son. Um, Shy, simple, sweet Branyan always had special feelings for the slightly older, responsible Martine. And being the honest good boy, who is always honest and forthright and polite, let there was going to be sort of like a spring formal when all the knights are presented before the queen mother, the king, and they would be brought, and then they would go out to war. You are supposed to ask someone to go to that formal with you. He wanted to ask Martine. Being the good sweet boy, he asked for permission. Why? Well, because I have feelings for her. No, you don't. But, and then he mentions some of the things. He's like, well, I've watched the way she carries herself, and, she's stronger than most knights. And he named several knights at court that, and he mentioned through observations, he's like, well, she moved from this parapet to the other, and, roughly this time, faster than the bird flew. These knights move slow, and they carry themselves very arrogantly, and it's leading to the decay and decline of our kingdom, and I think we should be more like her. And I think she would be, she should be at the ball, since she's better than us knights anyways. Andre threw a fit. No, 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 no. You're a knight? No. She is not a knight. And she is not better than the knights. And so Branyan kind of had to bury that because he didn't want to disappoint his father, but he was also sent out to war anyways. So before he was sent to war, he had intentions to at least make sure that Martine was introduced at court properly with all the knights. And he had specifically selected her. But Andre forbid it.
She wasn't even spy. Oh no, she was spymaster by then.
See, and she may have been, but she would have at least been.
Wait, was it Esmeralda? Was she queen yet? Because she only became spymaster when.
Well, this was okay. So, Branyan was sent to war 13 years ago, so she would have been a younger woman. She would have been like.
Yeah, and Esmeralda wouldn't have been queen yet because she'd only been 11 years.
Yeah,
so this would have been just some random scout with a bird.
But he had recognized her, and she was there. She wasn't head spymaster, but she was going to be the one to be as part of the escort with the king. She obviously had some position, but Branyan had taken notice as a knight training at court.
What did Andre have against me before I even killed his friend? Was it just that I was a spy?
Well, first off, he's a bit classist, isn't he?
He is.
Why were you brought in? You had no family, no lineage, no raid!
Oh my god, hi, Jess's folks.
You think when you have the illegitimate son of the queen at the time, the queen, this is her son, Branyan, the perfect knight. And he has eyes, thoughts, and feelings for her? That surely cannot be. It cannot be allowed, not even to dance, not even to come to the ball.
Oh, God. And then he reiterated it when she was Spymaster because he knows all her... Oh.
Yes.
I'm dead already.
And Branyan has carried that for many years. Went off to war.
Okay, cool. I haven't talked about why it's important to me that I can't act on my feelings. I know too many of his secrets that he doesn't know.
It would bring the whole kingdom to its knees.
Yeah. Well, not his secrets.
Uh, Being the son of the Queen Mother might cause some problems.
Yeah, but it wouldn't bring the kingdom to its knees. It would just be a scandal.
It
Be a
might
bad scandal.
yeah, and it would cause some certain political
Oh,
maneuvering.
it might cause some it might call other of the queen's children into question.
Yes.
Uh, because I would have to tell him. And he doesn't deserve that. Yeah, I would have to tell him, and he doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve that life. Okay, cool. Well, Andre's dying words. Thanks, I hate it. Okay. Good. Good. Yes. Wonderful. Okay. All right. So now we do this wonderful thing. Obviously, if you were playing StarCraft normally, you would build a Jenga tower. And then before you even start playing, you each take 3 pulls. So the tower already starts rickety. So to counteract this, instead of the way this system works is that instead of pulling blocks, anytime we would pull a block, we're going to roll a d20. And when if we roll the same number 5 times, the tower falls over. Another rule in StarCrossed is that while you're talking, you have to touch the tower, which is horrifying. And I found the best way. There's many different ways to do this with dice, but I found the best way is you just hold the dice in your hand when you're done talking, put it down, and you see what number it is. And this has absolutely knocked over a tower for me before. So, and essentially, for those of you who've never played StarCrossed, the tower represents their resolve to not act on their feelings. And by either intentionally or unintentionally touching each other and revealing personal things about each other, that slowly whittles down the resolve, which is shown by pulling a block out of the tower. And when the tower collapses, that signifies them asking their, or not asking, acting on their feelings. And at any time during the game, you can knock over the tower whenever you want. It hasn't been smoochy yet, but Grant's just like ruined me. Anyway,
If I had a superpower, that's the superpower.
just destroying me personally by name. Yeah, and there are, God, I haven't taught Roll20 or Roll20 StarCrossed in a while. Depending on how far we get in the game, how many roll pulls, or in this case, rolls we make, it tallies up our attraction score, which you can see at the bottom of the. Oh, you can't see the attraction score on the. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I can bring it up.
No, you don't have to. You did just make a Jenga tower in Photoshop. I love that. I mean, maybe it's better if they don't see the sheet.
They can see the sheet. The sheet was up. I've been switching back and forth.
Oh, switching back and forth. Yeah, I was kind of wondering about, whether or not we could just focus on ourselves. But anyway, yeah, you can see the attraction score kind of at the bottom of the the roll tracker, maybe. If not, you can follow along with that link. You follow along at home with this link. And depending on how high the attraction score is, depends on the kind of epilogue we tell. There are several scene prompts as we go through, and if we get through all of the scene prompts without knocking over the tower or without the tower falling over, they never act on their feelings ever. The other mechanic is like in dancing, there is a lead and follow. The lead acts more intentionally and the follow acts more unintentionally. The lead always starts a scene, but the follow always decides when the scene is over. And that's kind of Starcrossed in a nutshell. So I think we should start by each rolling 3 times to make those first initial pulls. So I got a 4.
14.
I got an 11.
13.
7.
4. That's 3.
That's 3, yeah.
I'm not touching that
You
anymore.
already rolled a second 4?
Yeah.
No. They have to fall in love. All right. So an introduction. We decided this was post the For the Queen game. So Andre has passed away, obviously, because his dying words were, "Do not fall in love with Martine." And so how long is this after? Is this on the way back? Is this like they've been hanging out, or?
I think so we decided that while Branyan himself wasn't very landed, I mean, he had an estate off on the coast in a decrepit, dilapidated, falling apart castle with no guards, no servants. He has just inherited Andre's fortune. So now that he has Andre's fortune, he will essentially inherit the Avon house, the river house, and that is where Andre lived. It is a vast estate. In either there is going to be an event to introduce court to Avon house, or the Spymaster is investigating there, and Branyan happens to be there. We can decide, but I imagine whatever the scene is, it'll take place.
I mean, maybe
Avon
both.
House. Yeah.
Maybe there is going to be an event, and she's there ahead of time to secure the location.
Yes. Maybe even sent. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, it's going to be the reintroduction of Avon House.
Okay. So you start the scene. You can describe your movements or your environment, but anytime you have to talk, you have to hold the dice. And anytime you touch or reveal something personal, you have to make a pull.
Okay. So I imagine that you've come to Avon House. You're the first to arrive. There will be a formal event here in 3 days' time. So there's some time. You've been to Avon House many times because you've had to do your own poking on Andre back when it was his house. And there is a staff that you are very familiar with as far as being introduced to the grounds, etc. However, the door is opened. It is shy but strong. Branyan, with good posture, who has opened the door himself as you have arrived. And kind of opens, and taken aback.
Yeah. Martine has arrived alone on horseback. Um, and Philippa is with her, flying, like kind of flying around, but um, isn't doing, isn't like on her shoulder yet or anything. But Branyan,
Oh, Martine, from court. To what do I owe the honor?
I'm here to secure the location ahead of the event.
Secure it from what?
That's the plan.
Well, by all means, come in if I can be of any use to you. I mean, Avon House has right to be secure, and you have served the Queen faithfully these many years, and you are to be trusted. My father told me. Andre did, if you recall, Andre did
Yeah.
trust Martine, and he's like, he told me that you are to be trusted implicitly. So, by all means, come in. I apologize that the house is in its current state and condition. You see, Andre had not paid the staff during the months he was away, so they've all returned to their homes. I'm working to make it right. It's been very difficult to release the funds to them, but I made sure that it was expedited, and they've all been taken care of. They'll be here before the celebration to prepare the house, but until then, it's just you and I.
Oh, all right. Um, and she has like one saddlebag. um, there's probably other stuff coming later, but she traveled light. Uh,
Splendid animal. And Brandon immediately goes down, and he's like, may I? He like immediately wants to be like friends with his horse. If you recall, he was a horse master before
yeah.
he was made captain of the guard.
Oh, yes, of course.
What is your horse's name?
Um, how far away is Avon House?
It's very close to the Queen's estate.
Okay, so I wouldn't necessarily have to change horses or anything, so this could be my horse. Um, Geraldo.
Geraldo! And that's like, Brandon knows it by name and just kind of rubs its nose. It immediately takes to him. Being the master of horses, he's very familiar with your horses, the Queen's, everyone's at house. The horse immediately knows him.
Oh, you're already acquainted, I see.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. During my time as stable master, it was my duty to make sure that Geraldo was well taken care of. Has she been taking care of you? He's kind of like whispering in his ear, and the horse kind of lumps its head on him, kind of pushes him to the side, but he seems to enjoy it. I'm sorry. Let's get Geraldo stabled. You're welcome to enter the house. I'll be along shortly, and if you want, you can either follow me to the stable or enter the house, and we'll fast forward to when I'm back in the house.
Did you reveal something personal to me intentionally?
It wasn't unknown, though. It was already exposed, right?
I mean, but his feelings for Geraldo?
Sure. I'll roll. 6.
Because like he would recognize the horse, but like, oh, that's Geraldo, and like, oh, Geraldo, my old friend.
He's a horse guy.
Different things. um, yeah, I think she's just gonna be like, okay. I think she has like a very love-hate relationship with Geraldo. Like he has a temper, and so this is like weird to her.
Very weird.
And I think she just like is staring at them like with like kind of a weird look on her face. Like And I think if he notices, that's an unintentional reveal of her.
Uh, he does notice, um, but he does not judge.
Okay. Well, he doesn't have to judge. He just has to notice. I rolled a 20. Nat 20.
Well, that's two 20s on the board.
No, there isn't. There's only 120. Unless you didn't mark something.
I think I marked one.
No,
All right, then there's
we've
just
only
one.
made two pull. We've only made two pulls. You rolled a 6.
Okay.
We're still good. Um, yeah, we can kind of skip forward.
All right. So yeah, we're in, and Brandon asks if you require any food. What time of day have you arrived?
I think it's like if it's close by, she probably left in the morning, so it's probably like late morning, afternoonish, kind
Okay,
of.
just before he says, "Would you like to begin securing now or after lunch? I'm in the process of preparing lunch."
Oh, um, yeah, I can, I could eat.
Come, if you don't mind, uh, you could join me in the kitchen. Yeah, you could use the company. It's loud and I'll warn you now, a little chaotic in there, but you can keep me safe.
God, Martine loves this poor little rich boy have to cook for himself.
And
Oh,
it's all right. The kitchen is a disaster area. Like it's just there's stuff everywhere. And the thing is, this isn't like it's not like old stuff. You can tell he's in the process of like preparing a meal now, and he's like going all out. Um, and he's like, I picked the herbs fresh from the fields this morning. I caught the rabbit. I'm preparing a soup, not a stew. Um, the bread I baked fresh. Used to getting up early from working in the stables. But it should be done shortly. Could you give me not the big knife, but the medium-sized knife? I don't know the proper name for it. I apologize.
wow, you did this all yourself? And she like passes the knife.
Yes, yes. He takes it. And he goes, got it. And he's chopping up carrots, and he's like, during my time with the church, it was a little more like one of those exotic summer camps. It's just it was a bunch of us, and we were all being prepped for war, and there was some doctrinal teachings, but really the emphasis was on being self-sufficient. And since I've been back, any kind of he's just like prepping you little plates of food. Like the plating's quite nice. He's kind of has this natural little cutesy ways of arranging it where it's almost like he's making little animals out of like orange slices and cut apples and the bread. Yeah, and he's just kind of like sliding you plates. He's like offering you hors d'oeuvres and like eating while he cooks. It's just kind of one of these things, and he's just kind of like, we never know when uh, you never know when you're going to have your last meal, and you might as well make every meal the best meal that you can within reason. I mean, obviously, you don't want to overspend or eat in excess, but you want to make sure you eat well.
I mean, I suppose that's true. I've seen a lot of soldiers cook for themselves before, but this is.
It's a mess that I'm going to have to clean, but it will also be a lunch that I get to eat, and that's kind of its own reward. And with that,
And I think like he's making something and like part of his sleeve or something is like dripping into
no, I don't know about that. He's safe,
okay,
but
he's
it's one
good.
of those things though where like he's at the point where he's like testing the soup with a spoon, and like he's up and he's offering like he's gonna feed you with a spoon, just kind of like the soup. He's like, here,
Like
try it.
no, and she like pushes the spoon away but like touches his hand
Yeah,
a little bit.
like, oh, all right,
Oh,
okay.
that was another 20.
Uh-oh.
That's all right, thank you.
All right, well, I'll save it. And he just kind of like ladles two bowls of soup, and he's carrying them out. There's kind of like a plain wooden table in the kitchen, and then he asks what you'd like to drink. He's like, we have an assortment of wines. We have very fresh water that I pulled up from the well earlier today.
I don't drink.
Um, any
This
liquids?
is something that well, no. This is something that is like well known about the Spymaster is that she doesn't drink. Oh no, wait, I can't say that because she likes the wine. We established that. And
That might be more like grape juice. It might be that she drinks it very fresh but not fermented.
no, we established that she likes that place because of
Okay,
its good wines.
he has
Because
some of
that was
that good wine.
all right. She'll have wine then.
All right. Um, he asks. He makes a suggestion about what goes well with the rabbit and these herbs. He also has some that he's been making himself. He's something of an amateur amateur booze hound. No, he's yeah, but he's just kind of like
Newly
I
retired man.
oh, it's just I mean, when I was on the front, we he kind of stops for a second. He's like, we kind of it's hard for him to talk about. He says, we served diligently and we were prepared to lay down our lives. And once our lives were given back to us, those of us that were recalled from the front, we're doing our best to live them, not in excess, but learning to enjoy uh, good wine, good food, good company, he says. And he kind of sets the plates and sits down uh, to eat. He asks if you'll say grace.
Oh, um, oh, sure. Um, she doesn't really know, like, uh, it's been like a very long time. And so she kind of like stumbles her way through like the traditional grace.
You notice as you're stumbling through, he's like kind of like sneaking little bites of food, like very inappropriately, but like, and this is like perfect, polite, honest Brandon.
Yeah.
This is his unintentional reveal where it's like, even though he's been raised this way, it is the proper way. Sometimes the image cracks, and he's just like, I've been working since 3 a.m. and this is food, and this stumbly, long-winded prayer is going just a little too long. But he doesn't
Right.
say that. He's just sneaking. So I rolled a 3 on my unintentional.
Okay. And she's like, Graces, thank you for the food, amen. And starts eating.
Excellent,
Fun
excellent.
fact, that is the grace I used to say when I was a kid when they were like, Lauren, say grace. I was like, Graces, thank you for the food, amen.
Nice, nice.
It's a childhood fact you
So
got for free here.
is there anything else that happens during the meal, or do you think that's the scene?
I think that's the scene. I think she was just kind of like, okay.
It's a
She's
little
like a little
weirder.
bit overwhelmed. Like, I think they've worked. I think they probably have. I imagine they have like, if not an office in the like a the same office with like two desks. Like their offices at the castle are quite close to each other because they have to coordinate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like, this is
Yeah, this is not
like,
off.
I mean, there's like, hang it, seeing your coworker in the cafeteria and like eating soup that your coworker made for you.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
so she's just kind of like a little weirded out, but
So a little embarrassment. I assume this might be at the formal. Uh, so there's going to be a gathering at Avon House, or is this later that evening? Is this the second day before? Because you're going to be there for
um,
several days.
yeah, I'm gonna be there for several days. I think we should hold off for the thing. So maybe, yeah, maybe this is later in the evening. Um,
Okay, a little embarrassment.
what would be well, so I was who is embarrassed?
That's a very good question. So circumstances might say that. So here are some ideas I'll pitch to you. Um, Branyan sneaks a ride on Geraldo. We decide we're going to race horses. Um, uh, there's an opportunity to you're caught in either Branyan's study or it would actually be Andre's study. Um,
Yeah, I think that's probably good. Is that she's caught in Andre's study.
Snooping
Um,
about.
yeah.
And yeah, that's okay.
So
There's a couple
where
different ways this can go as well.
so where did Branyan go that she had this moment alone?
Brandon's always all over the place, so he's not used to this life. He's either tending the grounds, like, because remember, there's no staff right now, so he's like, well, I better make sure all the flowers are picked, and so he's gonna go out and pick all the flowers, or he will, uh, he'll be doing the other gardening, or he'll be mending the fence, or he'll be checking on the animals. There's a
All
lot that he
right,
has to do.
he's doing something. So
Yeah.
she's um she's gone to Andre's study. She had Andre's like secret journal that she found, but I think she had found some other notes the last time she went here, like in a hidden compartment. Um, and they didn't make sense at the time, but now that she has his journal, she wants to kind of like revisit that. Um, so she's like in his study, like uh, poking around.
All right. Um, so tell me exactly what you're finding right now when Branyan has returned.
I think she finds a reference to Andre. Andre seems like the type who would like code things a little bit, like not too much, but um,
Enough, though.
enough. Yeah. And so I think it's like a book cipher. Um, and so she's like in his study, she's at his library, like at the bookshelves looking for something.
All right. It's I assume you pull a book away, and then like Branyan's on the other side. His face is revealed, and he doesn't quite look himself because he's covered in sweat, dirt. He's kind of wearing a straw hat. His eyes are a little beady, and he's just kind of like, "Hey, what you doing in here?" just, just kind of, hey.
Oh. Um, and she still with the book in her hand, she pulls like another book nearby, and a secret door swings open,
Ah, yeah.
and she says, securing. the area.
Branyan's like both impressed, in love, maybe. He doesn't know because he's never, he's probably never been alone with a woman, let alone had a book pulled and then a secret door opens. And he's just kind of come in and he's just kind of like, where does that lead?
Your father's secret, like, um, his secret alcohol stash. His secret, I don't know, like cognac. He seems like Andre seems like a cognac man.
He is
Yeah,
he.
it's like
My
keeps
father
all the
had no
good stuff.
secrets.
I mean, and she like goes down. There's like a little, it's like a little staircase into a tiny little
He's
like
following.
closet sized cellar.
Yeah, he
And
follows you down, and you're just kind of like, huh. Is it dark? Do I need to like bring a light?
it's like a little bit dark, but it's like very small. Like it's not a place for him to like sit. It's like a door and there's like a stair down and then there's like a closet that's just like wall to wall shelves of fancy booze. Like it's just a place. It's just a secret pantry kind of thing.
Okay.
Um, and she like turns around with a bottle and says, "No, so you knew about this then?"
Well, I knew that he liked those beverages, but why would he? You know, what has always bothered me about him? Branyan speaking, and his father recently died. This is not very much like him to reveal, but he's going to be very direct. This sort of behavior. Why didn't he keep it with the other liquor? Why didn't he share it with people? They're sure. Apologize. Why did he feel a need for a secret booze closet? Did he not trust those in his employ? Those that considered him a friend? Those that looked up to him? Sorry, I apologize for unloading on you like that. But he could be a very difficult man. And I rolled a 16 for revealing my feelings to you intentionally. That though Branyan was his son, Branyan had some difficulty with his behavior.
Andre didn't like to share. And she like takes the bottle and kind of brushes past Branyan to go back upstairs. That's a 15. And like sits down at Andre's desk, pulls out a drawer where he keeps like a tumbler or like two tumblers and puts them on the table and pours herself a drink. Do you want some?
I think you should have it. In fact, that
I'm
closet.
going to have it. I want to know if you want some more.
Not just
Or
yet.
want some also.
I'm a bit dehydrated from the gardening, but I'll have some shortly. He says.
She pulls out like a decanter of water.
Shrugs, and he's gonna drink with you.
He liked to water it down. Fool.
He's just kind of like, well, stingy as well. Didn't know how to enjoy the fine things.
I think that's an unintentional reveal about her feelings about.
That is an unintentional reveal.
That's an 8.
I'm going to. What? You worked with the old man for years. What was your honest opinion of him? This is like 3 drinks in.
He didn't like to share. He didn't like to be bested. And
He didn't like you, I say, and I put my hand on your hand for a second when I say that. Uh, that's a 9. That's an
she pulls her hand
intentionally.
away like immediately.
And a 2 9s in a row. I apologize. It was
And not like not immediately away enough that
yeah,
like it's obvious, but like kind of a oh. Um no, he didn't. He I'm a dangerous woman.
Yet he liked other dangerous women.
Mm.
If you ask around, there's several.
Do I know about these other dangerous women?
You know
Or
everything.
I know everything. Okay, yeah.
You know that he had an affair with a duchess in a foreign land. You
Yeah.
know that he had an affair with a countess in another foreign land. You know that there was a former captain of the guard that dated Andre extensively for a long time, which is part of the reasons why the fact that he's with the queen is so strange. It almost seems like he was completely unfaithful to her the entire time.
Um she goes,
But she was married as well.
yeah. She says, not the kind of dangerous women that could ruin him.
One thinks he mastered the art of ruining himself, wouldn't you agree?
Your words.
You know, I was raised to be honest. And kind of harkens back to what Andre said about him. Um, Andre felt he was not worthy to be Branyan's father, and honestly did not feel up to the task, which is why he had others raise him. Um, what makes you so dangerous? Branyan says. It's like 3 or 4 drinks into this.
You, Martine, is not phased. Has not been drinking as much, but has is not as um, is still very within her wits. Um, she's it's my job to know everything.
All right. So I'm gonna test your knowledge of everything Branyan says, and he pulls out and he kind of drops some of them. He's had a little bit. He pulls out a tiny little horse chess piece. It's like a knight. He goes, this is me." And he sets it on the table. "This is the queen." "It's not really the queen," he says, and you can tell Branyan's a lightweight, and he's never had this kind of liquor either, and he sets it down. He goes, "And you're Martine. They never make any Spymasters." And just he says, and he's like obviously confused. He goes, "But you can be you. These are the villains." He just picks up a handful of pawns and drops them on the table. "People are coming for the queen. How would you protect the queen? Because it's your job.
Um, she takes the glass away from Branyan.
He takes it back.
Uh, no, she takes the glass away. She drains it. She picks up the bottle and she says, "Well, I would never let the knight captain drink any of this again." And she gets up and goes. And I think that's where the scene
You're
ends.
a menace, but a brilliant one at that, he says. And he just kind of looks back at the chessboard and he's just kind of like, oh, that's why she's the spymaster. He says, and he's just kind of
Oh my god,
relaxes.
so ridiculous, ridiculous.
That's
Boy.
ridiculous, but yeah.
All right, finding common ground. Um, what would they have in common?
So this can either be that evening.
I think that was the evening.
Okay, that was the evening, and so
Yeah.
do you sleep at Avon House?
I would assume so.
Okay. The only suitable room. So essentially, there's the butler's room downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
There's Branyan's room, which Branyan would not offer. It would not be polite. Unless you wanted to sleep in his room, he'd go off. He'd just say, no, I can sleep. There's also the Queen's room. Not Esmeralda, but Charlotte, the Queen Mother's. She had a room here that,
She did.
yeah, Andre had for her. So there's also a couple others. Where would you sleep?
I think she would sleep in the servants' quarters.
Okay. From the servants' quarters, you can hear some thrashing about in the main hall. It's noisy.
She draws her weapon and goes upstairs, like very quietly, sneaks up, see what's going on.
You see, Branyan has set up a variety of makeshift, like, sparring dummies, and he's running through, like, mass combat drills, and he's essentially fighting the sparring dummies in the hall, because there's the most space there. He's not used to having guests either, so he doesn't realize what racket he's making.
She gets right up close to him and says, "Little late for that, isn't it?"
He drops his sword and jumps. He's shirtless, by the way, too. He's just kind of like, gah, with his 10 abs, just kind of lunges away, grabs his
And abs.
Yeah. He's just kind of strong shoulders. I knew about the abs, the shoulders I couldn't see. He just kind of like, jeez, just kind of like lets out a yelp, and then it's just kind of, I thought you were asleep.
That's not how you should react to surprise in a battle.
Oh, how should I react?
I'd have killed you.
This is very true. We are not in a battle, though. We are in my...
Yes, and it's the middle of the night.
Is it? Branyan seems like completely, like, oblivious to whatever hour it might be. Branyan's a bit of an insomniac as well. He has way more energy than he knows what to do with, which is why he's up early, and then he's up all night, and then he sleeps for about 90 minutes a night. This is after a day of drink. He's like, I'm. It's just been a long time. I'm sorry, Martine. I. Sometimes. Have a seat. He kind of motions to the stairs, if you will, and he sits on the stairways and he kind of drops his head into his hands. He's having a hard time talking. But
She's not
he.
sitting.
Very well. You remain standing. So yeah, he's just like, yeah, he wants you to know he's not offended if you don't sit by him. He's just kind of like, I you also notice he has a large scar across his side. He has a bad scar across his chest. He was nearly killed in combat several times, and the final time they thought he was dead, yet he lived and survived. He goes, I feel like there were more battles to be won, perhaps even battles to be lost. I feel like my story was left unfinished out there, and that I still had more service for the Queen Mother, the royal family, the crown. Why did they choose me for the court?
Because you're the best.
Apparently, I'm unable to detect you, even in the full swing of things. Are you sure you're not the best?
I assure you I'm not.
Care
I
to
was
make a
there
wager?
when they just I was there when they decided. I was at that meeting. I signed off on it.
I appreciate the endorsement, and I also appreciate your confidence, and it really does make a difference. But observe. Branyan kind of shuffles over unceremoniously and picks up his blade. And he motions for you to pick up any blade on any training dummy. He goes, pick the one that you feel you're most familiar with. There's several different types of bladed weapons. If you'll indulge me, please.
Um, she pulls her like daggers out.
All right. And I imagine Branyan kind of moves in with basic feint, and I imagine that he's immediately disarmed. Like, just kind of like, and this is Branyan, Knight Captain, best of knights, greatest of knights, just kind of, and it's almost one of those things where you felt, to you it felt like, possibly, and you can correct me or tell me if you agree, you were teaching a novice that they were holding their sword wrong, and there was like obvious glaring mistakes, and it's just kind of like, nope, and he drops the sword, and it goes. He kind of just takes another sword off a training dummy, and he changes his stance. And he goes, all right, so this is a style that's only taught in 3 schools in the world, and he knows that you know this style as well. Kind of lunges again, disarmed. Martine, when it comes to swordplay, and when it comes to keeping the queen safe, you are the best. And while I might be best at leading knights, I need you to know that I, not just as knight captain, but as a loyal subject to Her Majesty, I have 100% faith and confidence in you. And not just because my father told me to trust you. you're the key to keeping the crown protected. You're the key to keeping the monarchy stable. And you put what's best before the crown. And I admire that because it's something none of us have been able to do. We've always been told to put the crown first and the monarchy second, or the person second. But your ability to put the person before the privilege is what sets you apart from the rest of us. And that's why you're able to disarm me and make it look simple. You fight from the heart. I've revealed something intentionally, and I rolled a 12.
She puts her knives away. And when he says, like, you put what's best before the crown, she gets a bit of a pang and turns away slightly. I'm glad you think so highly of me.
He takes a step closer, and he simply says, I hold you in the highest esteem. And with that, he turns and he goes, if you excuse me, I've got to work the stables. And he kind of heads out the front door. It's probably 2 or 3 in the morning, but it's early enough for him to start doing chores.
You'd be better at that if you slept more.
Well, I'd be better at that if I was you.
She takes her daggers again. So?
What? Are you putting me under arrest, or are you going to kill me?
Let's get better.
All right.
I think that, like, head tilt when he said for the best, I think that was a reveal. I don't know if
I may have rolled.
I didn't. No. You rolled. I didn't. But, like, do you think, like, because that, like, that hurt. So I think the fact, I think her reaction, because what I assume unintentional reveals are like any time that she involuntarily reacts to something instead of choosing what her reaction is going to be, is how I'm judging
That's
it.
fair.
Because she just, like, everything has to be very measured with her.
Mm-hmm. You see, Branyan picks up the blade. He has a second gear that he can kick it into. And he goes, now, I'm not going to be able to beat you. But it's going to take you at least 3 strikes before you disarm me. He kind of says with a laugh.
Can we transition this into hard at work and do this, like...
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And she says, and she, like, holds her arms out, like, come at me, bro. I mean, she doesn't say that, but, like, that's the aura.
No, yeah, I get it. And as you do it, here's the difference between Spymaster, who's probably more of an assassin, more of a duelist, more accomplished at arms. Branyan's a soldier. Soldiers only have one advantage in these situations: playing dirty. And let me know if you need a pause. We'll be right back.
Card.
All right, no worries. We're back. So I brought us back. We're back. I
Hello,
put us
I'm
on.
back. I'm sorry. My cat was trying to steal my identity, but we're all good. So,
All right.
Branyan,
Oh yeah, yeah.
soldier. They have
So
one advantage. What is it?
oh, they fight dirty. It's one of those
Uh,
things where, traditionally, um, so this is going to end up being. I've already done an unintentional reveal. So we're sort of doing some basic sparring, and it's one of those things where you're clearly the superior duelist. Uh, Branyan seems to have he seems to like have a command of where you're positioned at all times, and you can get out of it. He also has impeccable endurance, um, but rather than fight clean, he's doing all sorts of little dirty tricks, like um, every now and then he pulls off. He's trying to like throw things that he just finds around at you and keep fighting and making use of improvisational surroundings, weapons, environments. um it's one of those things where he explains he comes from war where you will do whatever it takes to win, and that's what they were trained to do.
Um, so yeah. And I think this doesn't trip him up as much or trip her up as much as he expects it to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when she uh shoves shoves a dummy in his way,
Oh,
and he topples over it,
well,
and she goes, I have a few tricks of my own. And she offers his hand, or offers a hand to help him up.
he kicks her legs out from under her so she goes down gracefully. Yeah, it's one of those things where he
Yeah.
he sweeps, and not only that, he gets one of her daggers, one of the two.
Oh my gosh. Does he like? Is it like he like tackles on top of her, or like?
It's to her side. He doesn't go
Okay.
directly on top of her, but he rolls to get it. They're both on the ground now, and they're close to each other. But he gets one of the daggers.
Um. She pushes herself up. Uh. Well, she kicks herself up, but as she's kicking herself up, um, I don't know how to unintentionally touch in a fight. It's really hard to unintentionally fight somebody.
Hmm. Well,
Um,
okay. So in a fight, you're not necessarily. There's a couple
yeah,
ways. So it.
I'm very bad at describing fights.
Okay. So here's where um at this point
Help me,
Branyan
pro wrestler Grant.
Branyan kind of looks at the dagger. He kind of looks at it. He's got it, and then he takes it like he's gonna keep it. He just wants to see your response. He goes, "When you've defeated a foe in battle, you're supposed to take a trophy, their weapon."
Um,
When you topple a foe, you claim their weapon as a keepsake. He says,
I think she grabbed, and is he holding it like by the hilt?
"Well, he's folding it back too. He's essentially
Uh,
playing keep away like a jerk."
okay. I think what she does is she grabs it by the blade.
Ah, grab him,
Um,
not the blade.
no, she
That
grabs
would
it by the
hurt. You don't get
yeah.
infected. No, no, he lets go immediately, and he like grabs you around the waist. He's like, no, 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 no. You'll hurt
That's how you.
yourself.
She like grabs it. She like flips the knife back, and she says, "That's how you get your knife back."
Huh. Okay, I rolled an 11, and that's another. I intentionally touch you. His hands are essentially around your waist at this point. And he's just kind of like, he seems like legitimately concerned. This mean soldier who is fighting dirty and taunting you over your blade, the second you grabbed your own blade, he immediately like yielded. He was like, no, 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 no.
You have to be willing to do whatever you want, whatever you have to get the things that you want. And she like
I'm not gonna do.
eases herself out.
Branyan's not Etienne, because Etienne, like in his prime, before his heart changed and all that, he'd like plant a kiss, take the blade back, and run off. Like, and it wouldn't be
Yeah,
like a
he
reveal
would.
feelings. It would be a ha.
That
Not
would
sweet.
be
Not sweet
no.
honest
Branyan's a
Branyan.
good boy.
No, Branyan's. Yeah,
Branyan's a good boy. Etienne would 100% do that.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Branyan's like having almost like you can tell he looks a little unsteady when you grab the blade. He's
She like pulls herself of the out of his grip and goes and like starts find something to wrap her hand with and says, "I'm not the only one who can fight dirt. Or you're not the only one who fights dirty."
you want to clean that out before you uh,
Oh, I'll be
wrap
fine.
it. No, you won't. You most certainly won't. He's kind of looking around. He's like, "Come on, come on, come on, come on with me." He's bringing you adjacent to the kitchen. There is a room. He's escorting you there, where there are some basic medical supplies. He's like, "Now, lay it out." So let me examine the wound.
She's like, "I can do it myself."
But you're not going to. You're in
I
my
kind of
house.
no,
You
Branyan,
you already wrapped it up incorrectly without cleaning it.
Branyan.
You could get infected. If you can do it, you can do it. I trust you. I have faith, 100% confidence in you. However, all right.
And she uh yeah, she she cleans it properly.
Okay, he was just concerned.
She cleans it properly and wraps it up and says, and I think like as she thinks that Branyan has left, because he's like made to go by the door and maybe he like comes back, but as she's going, she's like, stupid rich boy and their hygiene, and she's just like
Brandon's hearing this.
buttering
He's like,
angry.
I beg your
That's a
pardon.
7.
Yeah. He's like, I beg your pardon. Those. You said prayers with that same mouth of yours.
Infections. Oh no, that was an unintentional reveal. She shoves past him again.
He stops you.
Okay, then she rams right into him unintentionally. I rolled another 4.
He takes it. If you're ramming right into him, that might be intentionally.
No. She wants
5.
to go past him, but like
Well, he's body blocking you. He's like,
he's body blocked, so it was an unintentional.
What do you mean, rich boy? What do you mean, boy? Is that what you think of me? In an evening, I go from the best, the knight captain, to the boy. What are you doing here?
What does it matter to you?
This is my home. Or at least my father's.
Father had a lot of secrets. I just need to make sure none of them are going to hurt the queen.
Branyan nods. He goes, you can do so and still Refer to me respectfully when I'm not around. I still think very highly of you, Martine. But if I leave the room for a second, you start referring to me in, well, such negative speech, unkind words. I was concerned for your hand, genuinely. But, as you said, I would benefit from more sleep. That's what I intend to do. Branyan kind of storms out. You hurt his feelings. He's sensitive. Stupid rich boy. Ugh.
He's a stupid rich boy.
He is. He's very uneducated, as it's showing.
Cuts just get infected. That's just the way it is. That's just part of what a cut is. It's just
It's
an infection
waiting to happen.
That's like, I mean, she knows now that like there are ways that you can like prevent it or mitigate it, but like that's like kind of wired into her like brain. That part of healing is like it gets gross and pussy, and like you gotta.
Branyan nearly died 3 times on the field of battle and watched other people die that didn't have their wounds treated properly. He takes it very seriously.
It's just, you know,
it's just gotta get weird and pussy.
Germs are for rich people.
So I think that ended the hard at work.
Yeah, hard at work. Close, quiet, and alone.
How's that work? Is it the night of the party? Is it
I
after
think
the
this
party?
is the night of the party. I think all of these scenes kind of happen at the party, right? Or the day of the party.
I think they can, or the day of. Yeah, in fact, this would be the day of the party now. Branyan, who had no sleep at all, he didn't even sleep. He said he was going to get sleep. Instead, he was probably doing a little exploring around the study, and probably doing a little exploring with some information that maybe he had stumbled upon just prior to Martine's arrival. So it's the day of the party. I believe during the party itself, Branyan was very withdrawn, quiet. He did not come off as a great lord of the manor. He came off as someone who did not want to be there.
So has the party already happened?
Only if you want it to. See, the thing about the party, it would be a royal party. There would be a bunch of people. That's kind of the antithesis of close, quiet, and alone.
Yeah.
So I imagine this is just afterwards.
Okay.
Did anything happen at the party? Was there anything that would require Martine to stay extra long?
She probably stays until the last guest leaves, and whoever the queen's like bodyguard is, or at the time has like taken her away, and she's just kind of making sure everything's done. She's the last person to leave the hall.
Before she can go and before she can get to her horse, Branyan stops her, taking her by the hand without saying a word, and is trying to bring her back into the house.
Yes?
There's something I need to show you.
You have to roll for that touch.
Oh, I know. 14. We're in a small private study. This isn't the master study. This is Branyan's personal study. It is a room adjacent to Branyan's bedchamber. There's a single candle. He has a book. The book is written in Andre's own handwriting. This book is entitled The Second Confessional. Everything that you knew about Andre was spoken in half-truths. This is all narrative speech, by the way. It's not Branyan. Branyan shows you the book. He hands it over to you. and he's looking at you with very pained eyes.
What
Do
is
you
this book? What do I find when I look at the page that he's opened to?
Andre is addressing Branyan directly. You're mentioned in the book. And Andre is specifically stating how there will be a second half to this book. Don't trust the one Martine has. It's fake. And he's essentially trying to direct Branyan away from this. But essentially, Andre, in his own way, is trying to tell Branyan everything that he wanted to tell him, but he's one of those people that can almost tell the truth, but never can, not when it really matters. Branyan, who's just had essentially most of his history revealed to him, partially, says, "My father was many things, but an honest man he wasn't. I need to know if you have the rest of the story, and I need to know if you'd be willing to share it with me."
Give me this book.
He's offered it to you freely.
Take it, she says. This is an important document, potentially national security. Thank you for giving it to me.
It's not the only copy.
I need all of the copies, Branyan. You know this.
There's a second copy that is in possession of my mother, Queen Charlotte de Mercier, Queen Mother of House Vespucci, in the land of Cascada. He says he's trying to fight back tears.
Yes.
Branyan's just kind of sitting there pondering. Martine, you're the only person on this earth that I trust. I'm sorry that I took your blade from you. And we quarreled because of my arrogance, because of my lack of acceptance of who I am. A rich boy, a stupid one at that. I am completely uneducated. Do you know how long it took me to read that manuscript? A while. He got bags under his eyes. He didn't sleep at all, as he doesn't normally sleep anyways. I need you to know that I trust you to get the second copy. And you have my permission to do whatever you need with this information. But I need to know what you would have me do with the information.
How much do you know? She like sits down on his bed, or no, it's not in his.
It's not his bed, but it's close.
Not bed. It's bed.
You know.
She like sits down on a chair or something.
I am the son of Queen Charlotte. I am the son of Andre. I know the queen is my sister, he says. Esmeralda is my sister. and I know that she does not know. I know that Andre has designs to introduce that information and concept to her. But that mechanism shall not be released for, oh, about another 18 months, it looks like, judging by the calendar.
The queen knows that you're her half. The queen imagines that you're her half brother. She doesn't know the truth of it. She can't.
Well, Andre wants to make sure that she knows. And it looks like he has designs to introduce it. And Branyan invites you to follow him into his room. And his floor is covered with torn sheets of paper that have been pulled out of a variety of books. And the ceiling has a curtain that he pulls back, and you can see the sky through glass. The moon kind of shines. As the glass is illuminated, you look up. It is a map of Cascada. And the points of the stars in the sky, the constellations, match regions, provinces, destinations on the map. They line up the locations of cities. And he shows that while he's not educated, he knows patterns when he sees one. He goes, I'm not educated, but you are. What does this mean? And he's looking to you for direction, how to put together where these hired messengers are in the kingdom, because they most certainly will find their way to the queen.
She makes a note and she calls for her bird. And it comes to a window. And she grabs another, she grabs a sheet of paper from his study, writes down these four places, and some instructions in code, gives them to the bird. They'll be dead by next week.
Branyan nods. He looks to the wall, looks at a mural, looks back at you. He asks you if you know his secret.
Which one?
The one about you.
She I think she blushes. I think she blushes. Yeah. Um, and she looks down. How long have you been working on this?
The all night and through most of the day. I hardly had an opportunity to prep for the party. It was an awful host. Sure, it'll be the gossip around court. But do you remember your time back in? I'm trying to think of a good word for it. I just want to call it the Blue Scouts. What would be the name of your cadet group when you first started as a regular spy?
Oh gosh. When I like was
Mm-hmm.
I would probably just say it would probably be like under like Sarastro, I think was the name of the previous Spymaster. So it would just be my time under Sarastro.
You remember your time under Sarasto.
Yes.
He brings you over to the
She,
mirror.
she
Yeah.
she kind of says, yeah, all 25 years of it.
Mm-hmm. There was a summer about 13 years ago, almost 14 by now. And he kind of escorts you over to. He has a large dressing mirror. He explains. He goes, "You kind of wore your hair like this, may I?" And he goes, he's going to make an adjustment to your hair. And kind of
Yeah.
rearranges it to a slightly different style. Still fashionable, but older because it was a decade ago. And your principal duties were overseeing and listening to the gossip of the kitchen wait staff, house staff.
Yes, I remember. She undoes like she moves her hair
Mm-hmm.
around and I think like um his hands are still in her hair and
Yeah.
so she's not um and so uh they brush against each other and she draws her hand back like she's been burned.
Oof.
Um and she goes, yes, I was a lot plainer back then.
Do you remember what you did on the night of June 24th? Would be the night of the Spring Blossom Festival, which is hilarious since it takes place 3 days into summer.
I think I killed an assassin.
He's kind of letting it hang there.
Right. Branyan, I don't think you want to do this.
I wanted to do it.
Branyan. She like puts uh, her hand on his mouth. It's 4. Um, Stop,
I trust you.
Branyan. Don't do this.
Branyan turns to walk away. He says, "Certainly, by doing nothing, I fulfill my father's dying wishes and make him very proud."
Excuse me?
You are excused. Um, um, the Queen's secret will be safe. And Andre, his wishes will live on, as they
I
have for the
think
past 13 years. Yep.
this goes into the next scene. She says, now I don't know what you're talking about.
You who knows everything.
I know everything important.
That burns. That's not what Branyan says. What is most important?
What is most important is that I know everything and I don't tell anyone, and that it dies with me.
Well, you say an awful lot through your silence, and even more through your actions, Branyan says.
Most people don't notice me.
Mm. Brandon's not too sure how to say that, or how to respond to that, and he goes, "No, but the exceptional do."
I'm sorry I couldn't tell you.
Martine, you come into my home. You pilfer my private study. You steal personal property left to me by my father. With no right, no royal commission, no mandate. Operating on your own. Why?
Because your father is a snake.
My father's dead, and I am not my father.
Father may be dead. His vanity and his pride would have killed his daughter, killed his son, killed the woman he loved.
Branyan's internalizing this.
to make sure the poison was gone for good. You can never say anything about your sister's parentage. Yours is less of a concern, although still difficult, but this knowledge will kill thousands. Your father, who said he cared more for the crown more than anyone else, would have killed thousands so that he could be remembered fondly in death. And that is why I always hated him. I rolled a 4.
Oh no, what happens?
The towers. I don't even know how to I don't know how to do this.
Okay, so what happens?
What happens when the tower knocks over, those of you watching at home, is I've rolled 5 4s, because I think I rolled every single one of those 4s.
Yeah.
And the tower is knocking over, so now I have to act on my feelings, and I don't know how to turn. I think we need to have this scene. We need to talk more, and then I need to find an avenue to act on my feelings.
Okay.
Because I just said that's why, like, I can't just be like, that's why I always hated him. Make out, you know, like.
No.
Wait, let me do this, okay.
And
that's why I always hated him.
Branyan says that he hears that and he confesses too. And that's why I always hated him too. And you can see he's fighting back, you know, just the raw, you know, he's had to be the perfect knight. He's had to be the perfect son. Andre admitted he was not worthy to be his father, and Branyan knows that he wasn't either. He's like, you know, I'm there with you. I hated him as well. And
I think,
yeah, Brandon's
I think she's been at this point, like, I think she saw in the notebook, like, the part where when he said my secret, she saw the part where it was like, stay the fuck away from Martine again.
There's that. There's a collection of letters. The letters where he was asking Andre for permission to ask Martine to the Spring Blossom formal. Mm-hmm. There's the letter where Andre says no. These are letters Branyan has kept. Because he received the letters, he kept them himself.
But I think I don't know. She sees, like, because there wasn't time to read that, but she sees, like, some kind of, like, errant note about, like, you know, Martine is bad news or whatever, and she goes,
now,
I had to hurt you because of him, and I cannot bear that. Because you are too good and too kind to bear the kind of secrets that I have to bear. I wanted to keep this away from you so that you wouldn't have to suffer, and I'm so sorry, Branyan.
Branyan approaches you and kind of brushes your cheek, your hair. This is the first time Martine's probably shown any emotion that wasn't, you know, a deep intensity and drive to protect the crown. It's like, he kind of repeats, he goes, you can always trust Martine. Martine is always kind. Martine was the greatest of knights that was never given the opportunity to take the oath. It was Martine who I always loved, who my father forbade me to ever acknowledge. It is Martine who must keep all the secrets. It is I who must depart and resign from my position. For I can only tell the truth. And this secret could potentially kill me. It already has.
She leans into his chest. And she doesn't start crying, but like it's a near thing in that kind of way where like you've been holding so much tension for so long, and it just all comes out in this one
Yeah.
shaky breath.
Yeah, he kind of takes the back of her head and he kind of holds her in close for a second.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Branyan.
He kind of leans in. He lightly kisses the top of your head. And he says, Avon House is yours now.
No. Stop.
He stops. In order to keep this secret, in order to do this very difficult thing, I need your help. Will you help me?
I've been trying to help you all this time. I won't stop now.
And with that, you know, I think Branyan, he would either lean in to kiss her and then escape, or he would just go. Because he's
She wouldn't let him.
right. And he trusts her, which is why he would stay. So he's going to lean in and kiss her if he can, and essentially pledge an oath to her and the sanctity of her secrets that though he cannot lie, if he swears an oath to her that he will protect the sacredness of the secrets, then he is not in fact being dishonest, for he is keeping a promise to her, which he must. How does the scene end?
I don't know. I think with that oath, because I think that oath is incredibly important
Yes.
in our continuity. Okay. That sure was a star-crossed.
That was a star-crossed. That was painful. These are sad kids. I feel so bad for them.
You made them sad with your awful, awful ambassador.
He's a bad guy.
He's a really bad guy.
He wasn't bad until we made him bad. We made him worse.
You made him so much worse. Oh.
It was better to make him worse and worse.
It was because also it means that I was right about him the whole time, which I personally am a fan of.
I
But
like that too. It proves her
um,
suspicions, no matter how much he tried to hide it.
yeah, yeah, because I think that as much as he was like, oh, we're here, we're doing it for the crown, blah blah blah, like the fact that he's been in that position for so long, like it's that kind of power is incredibly corrupting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you know he could and yeah it's that kind of like he doesn't like to share even in death.
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, Even after both he and whatever the king's name was, I forget what he named
Diedrich?
him.
Or, no, this is. Diedrich's a while back, I think.
Yeah, yeah, the second king, king number two,
I'd have
whoever
to
he
look it up.
was. um oh no, the king, the queen's father, Esmeralda's father. Sorry, there's too many. Esmeralda has like 5 husbands. But yeah, like, even after they're both dead, he's like, no, my daughter. Um, yeah, God. It was very like Andre to like have a map of the country over his bed.
Yes.
It's so extra. I love it.
Constantly, constantly planning.
But what happens to our sad kids? I mean, that's the question.
Well,
Um,
Branyan swore an oath he will not leave Martine now. He can't. He knows the worst thing that can happen is for her to be left alone. She's been alone her entire life, and now she at least has strength and support by essentially. Um,
she's a friend. I mean, more than she has a lover, but she's a friend now.
mm-hmm.
Um, which is, yeah, because like
Well,
I think there are some secrets that get passed on, like ones that could be important, generationally. But I think like part of the spy master's whole deal is like, I'm going to keep all of these secrets in me, and then one day I will die. And you know and it is my job to make sure that those secrets die with me.
a number of them
um
will get out. So even if Branyan's more of a friend and less a lover, it's also one of those things that's almost better for those two characters because their love is still forbidden, not just because of Andre's dying words, but now it's kind of in order to keep the secrets sacred. Let's see if anything does happen. So, is their relationship from then on?
well, I
Is
mean,
anything?
I think like they would have to, because that's what we got. um
So, what's
was
22
it's
mean?
it's it's like a really good text. I have to read it because it's so good. Where am I star? Where am I star-crossed rules? uh it's like nothing except the beating of your hearts damn the world. um your mind is overruled by the frantic beating of your heart damn the world, from now on you only need each other. um
Oh, oh, no.
yeah. um so I mean, I think what happens is that like it's kind of they can't get married or anything. um but it's kind of like an open secret in court that they are together. um
Yeah,
and
that works.
and Branyan's probably, I mean, that like he could probably,
He
people
founds a house
probably,
later.
yeah, people would probably try to target him for it, but like it's fucking Branyan and Martine, like nobody is gonna
Oh,
get the better of them
I
because
think. Oh my gosh, I think they. What causes Branyan to leave and form a house is when Martine, years later, in her old age, finally passes, and that's what
so he
causes
just
her.
like he just like goes and founds a house as like an old dude?
I think so.
Do they have
Because
children?
Branyan and Martine?
No, I don't think Martine would,
I
unless
think
Brandy can get pregnant. I don't think Martine would. Um,
um I think well, the way I kind of envision it is Branyan adopts
yeah,
like a plethora of like urchin children that uh,
because I
he
mean, like urchin spies are a common thing.
I think
Um,
it's I don't want this to be like the whole Bruce Wayne thing, but it's almost like Branyan lives a good life and then he goes and he like founds an orphanage and then Branyan's like Branyan grants nobility and knights like cuz he moves back to the foreign lands where he was born
mhm,
and he essentially has an estate. He grants
yeah,
all nobility, which he has authority to do, given his rank and title. And
I think
dare he say
Martine
his
dies tragically.
tragically?
Yeah, I mean, she's a
How?
spy, right? Like she was never gonna. Spies don't live long. Um,
Are you sure? But she's the best.
she's
It
the best, but like
tragically would be unwashed hands after cutting her blade. Like
I think
it's like
it is.
no, don't do that. Don't.
Okay, I would do that. It would be very her though. Um,
Yeah, I think it's there's I don't know if anyone can set her up and get her though. Tragic almost feels
well, I mean,
cliche.
it's tragic if
I
she
like
dies, but like she dies young. She doesn't die of old age. She dies like she's assassinated. She's
where there's like a
something.
almost more tragic because I don't think assassinate is necessarily tragic. Like that's unfortunate. That's kind of that
Mhm.
game. But I also think it casts her in a light that oh they got the drop on her and she was betrayed. I don't think
Yeah.
that's what happens. I think there might be a plague that like hits the land, like
Oh
a
yeah,
strange
yeah.
illness where it only
Yeah.
impacts people uh, like it's very specific. Not everyone
Well,
catches it.
I think it's a plague, and I think the upper classes are safe from it because she
Yeah.
has to spend so much time in the lower classes and with the people because not only because of her job, but that's where like a lot of her contacts are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like the people she grew up with, the people that she knew. She spends, she still sees old friends and things. And so she gets sick.
When she yeah, and when she passes, that'll send Branyan. Branyan will be younger than when he sets off. He essentially takes leave. He's like, I'm returning to my estates. I'm offering full resignation. Um, I think the queen grants him a ceremonial like ambassador title,
Mm-hmm.
and he essentially works as ambassador in the court, uh, in the foreign land. He's
Mm-hmm.
given titles of nobility over there because the court's like, you're one of us anyways. We're claiming you, and then
Yeah.
that's sort of how House Mercier comes into being, and it's a fairly new house. So, um, or at least the idea of Mercier. I imagine that maybe he's not the founder. That's like the lineage they claim is through
Yeah, like
Branyan.
maybe he reinvigorates it or whatever, like because maybe like Charlotte Mercier was like the last of the Merciers kind of thing, and then she can't continue that line on, and so um
Yeah, I think.
because she became a Vespucci, so now that so they're like, oh, you're a Mercier, you must be, and it was probably like, oh, a distant whatever or whatever, and now you have money, so they just kind of like transfer over
Yeah,
the title.
he has lots of money, and it's one of those things where I think he sells Avon House to the nobil like to House Vespucci. It's one of
Mm-hmm.
those things where it's, and I almost think it's something where it's being held over their heads. Like Martine dies, but there's people that have been investigating Martine that are very close to the truth, and it's like, where's all the real truth hidden. Well, Martine would never let anyone have it, and she most certainly wouldn't keep it in Avon House. She already robbed that place of its secrets once. So there's enemies of Martine and Branyan that are like, we're buying Avon House. And Brandon's just like, absolutely, all the estates, take them. And then gets a mountain of money, leaves with it, and there's no more secrets there. Martine made sure they all would remain hidden for another 100 years at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there are things that like she can do, but because I think there are some things that Andre, like, he got so mad with paranoia, I imagine,
Yeah.
that like, there are some things that we just like that there's no way, things he didn't even tell. So she does her
Oh,
best to try and track everything down, but they're just
there's sewn on the inside of the sheets on the Queen Mother's bed. I'm sure there's a
yeah.
cipher that Andre had stitched there where it's just kind of like, who's gonna find the code? It's like, well, if you look on the back of the jewels of the Queen Mother's crown, you'll find that, because
Hmm.
surely Andre did that, and it takes a
Yeah.
very long time before the rest
It,
of the secrets come out.
and it's one of those things like uh God, what's her name? The Dottie cipher. It's this cipher that Elgar wrote that nobody's ever been able to um figure out, and people are still trying to figure it out. So I imagine that's like kind of, it's like the Andre cipher, and like people have just spent 100 years trying to figure out what's going on with the Andre cipher, and like, you know, some academics probably like vilify Martine
Oh, 100%.
um, for like destroying all of this work. Um,
And unless you knew them, it's a lot harder to put the whole. So, and that's kind of one of those things where gossip dies with times. The fact that they never got married, there's no like paper trail that, oh, well,
mhm.
they came together. It's kind of like almost to protect the secrets. They were best of
Yeah.
friends, probably occasional lovers. It was probably an up and down tumultuous relationship where they both had to put duty before themselves. But I'm sure, just as on that fateful night of the party at Avon House, they broke down occasionally, but were there for each other.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, I mean, I don't think I imagine, I think Martine is very good at sneaking around. So I don't think it would be kind of like, oh, we can't. Um, Unless
Yeah,
Branyan was like, oh, we can't.
she's good at sneaking around, but she knows Branyan's not, and it's one of those things too where if they are kind of taking this damn the world mentality anyways, I think that's part of like their gives them an extra drive to uh, be more secretive about it. They're like, no, we don't have to be like the courts. We don't have to be like the
Hmm.
traditions. This is beyond knightly oaths. This is
Yeah. I mean, because yeah, in Martine, like growing up, there's lots of people like marriage was for people who could afford marriage. Like, marriage was a rich person thing.
yeah. That's Here's
None
the
of
thing
her
about
friends
that
were married.
though. Like, Martine is so far removed from that street urchin's life, even if it's still
I
in her.
mean, yeah, but
She
like
served for
there's some,
25 years in the court before our conversation. 25 years,
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
long
but like
time.
but I think there's, and I mean, she doesn't live like a street urchin anymore, but I think there are some things that are really wired and things that like she would take for granted,
That's fair.
like, you know, the idea of getting married isn't a thing, like, because culturally that didn't happen, that was like a big special event. It was for people who had money, but you didn't have to, or for really, really, really religious people, to try and convince a priest to get them married. But like, if you weren't religious, if you weren't whatever, um, then like you didn't have to get married to be a family
Mm-hmm.
or to be in love or whatever. Um, and I think like, you know, there's some things about growing up poor that you just never really get over.
She has her. She has her she has her code
Mm-hmm.
above the Cascadian law.
Yeah, well, and she sees what money does to people because that's her job to see what money does to people. So,
So yeah, this 20 plus is pretty dang high though. Looking at this epilogue chart,
yeah, we did. I wasn't sure we were going to get there, but we did.
that's pretty intense though. Like especially if you compare some of these others, like this is yeah, they're definitely together, and it's one of
Yeah.
those they don't care who in court knows. And then it's
Mhm.
also one of those things where people might challenge them on it, and they both just give whoever does the finger, right? It's just kind of like,
Yeah. Well, that's the
seriously?
thing. They're the two most powerful people, like the most dangerous people
Mm-hmm.
in court. They're untouchable. Um, and it's like better to be on their good side than it is to be on their bad side. And like as Miranda likes them both,
Mm-hmm.
um, wants them both to be happy, like knows that knows that they're better together than they are apart. So
Good
good
stuff.
night, Ronnie.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Um, yeah. All right. So let's wrap this up because we could talk about
Mm-hmm.
the world changing implications of this forever. Um, thank you so much for watching this crazy episode of of Starcrossed. Um, next week, we will be back with some special guests playing The King is Dead. We're going to jump forward about 100 years to when all of this information about the Queen's parentage comes out. Um, and so definitely check that out. Um, and you can find me on Wednesday. We're going to finish up Quill, the White Box. Um, and then on Thursday, I am uh, back on Tales from the Grim playing Dungeon of the Mad Mage. And on Saturday, I am on Encounter Roleplay playing Secrets of Saltmarsh. Grant, what are you doing this week?
This week, I believe I am running Cipher System on WebDM Show. I will be doing that on Thursday. On Tuesday, I'm producing Dungeons and Dragons on WebDM Starward Bound, which is a science fantasy campaign setting. I should be back on the Ultraviolet Grasslands late at night on Eric Vulgaris's Once Upon a Game channel. Saturday, I'm interviewing Jen Vaughn, the illustrator and comic artist and dungeon master, DM's Guild author, about her experiences in and around the gaming community for the Gamers and Grant Conversations in Gaming episode. And I think that's it. There's probably more. Follow me on Twitter at WisePuppetGrant for the full schedule.
Yeah, and you can always follow me on Twitter to find out what I'm doing. If you're on YouTube, watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, uh, do all the things. I will have links to the Starcross sheet that we used for you to check out. And yeah, we'll see you next week for The King is Dead. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.
In 3, 2, 1.